Motuan villagers raise concerns on rising sea level. Administrative college gets revamp after years of neglect. And a new funeral home for lay residents.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
This is Thursday's news. Good evening and thanks for your company. Villagers on the Motuan coast of Central Province are facing a double dose of water threats. The Tauru section of Gaira village has had to deal with a sudden change in the course of a river near their village and at the same time a rise in sea level that is pulling down houses. They've called on relevant authorities to help them make sense of the situation and assist them.
The Tauru section of Gaira village is located about 40 minutes drive outside of Port Moresby city. Over the years, they have seen a rise in sea level that has forced some of them, whose houses are built along the coastline, to continuously move inland. Alice and Evelyn are married to brothers. Speaking through a translator, they told EMTV how in the space of 2 years, they have been forced to move 50 meters inland from where their houses initially stood. They have been forced to demolish their permanent houses and build makeshift houses. The last time they had to move was last week, when the river that flows nearby changed its course and flowed directly along where their houses stood.
The post actually came off and it was lifted up. It was exposed and it was hanging, so they had to move.
Upside down.
And the house actually tilted because they worried. They're not sure what to do, so they put up something temporary for them.
Their ward councillor Kema Sere says the river has dramatically changed the landscape of their coastline. And as a fishing community, this has greatly affected their livelihood.
A river that we never experienced in the past. One way or the other, this river came into existence in the last 3-4 weeks. My people have suffered because my people's livelihood is based on the sea. They come in with small canoes, dinghies. They have a beach. They do not worry about a stone that will damage their sea. Today, that life is gone.
Along the same stretch of beach, 93-year-old Naime Haroro sits and contemplates his uncertain future. He has never seen anything like this before, this sudden and very fast change in the landscape he calls home.
Okay, this is where I stood this morning, but actually I was on top here, but there was all land, and now I'll give it 4 hours, 5 hours, or what time it is, it's all gone.
He shares the same fate, forced to demolish a 4-bedroom family home which he shared with his sons and grandchildren.
Today he's now concerned about his livelihood, his belongings and all that, and he's been affected and he has no room, he has no space to store his personal belongings.
Further down the beach, more houses are hanging on, their owners trying to come to terms with the inevitable. This okari tree is one of many that was uprooted in last night's high tide. This and the many coconut trees whose roots are now exposed acted as a defense for the houses along the beach. The people are worried that with the continued increase in the sea level and the change of the river course now through their village, many more houses will have to come down. And this will happen not in a matter of years, but in a space of a few days. As a community, they have their own explanations for the cause of this natural phenomenon. However, some of them are calling it a climate change impact, but they need authorities to assess the situation and confirm this. Councillor Kema says as a community, they have some ideas on how this can be addressed, but need relevant authorities to assist them. Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
Founded in 1963, the Administrative College, also known as ADCOL, was established to train public servants and employees of public authority in Papua New Guinea. It has never been rehabilitated since its establishment. But today, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill and Minister for Public Service, Sir Pukatemu, commissioned the demolition and reconstruction of the building.
The demolition of this historical A-wing building closes the chapter of PNG's history and opens a new chapter. Many of our leaders began their public service career inside this old building. It was built in 1965 when the localization program was pronounced for Papua New Guineans to take leading roles in administering government and public services.
Those public servants with the competencies required, particularly management and administration of civil service in the front line, management, transparency and accountabilities in the financial resources that they are going to manage day in, day out.
The building, once known as the Administrative College, or EDCOL, is the birthplace of some of our founding fathers, like Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare and the late Sir Albert Maure Kiki and many more. They founded the famous Bully Beef Club that held the first political forum that led to the establishment of Pangu Party and the formation of PNG's first government in 1975 when PNG gained independence.
And this institution plays a very key role in making sure that the performance of our public servants, our political leaders, continue to be developed so that it meets the expectations of our people.
With the reconstruction of this building, more public servants will be trained for PNG to have competency development in leadership. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill says that PNG needs to improve in governance and service delivery. He also said more institutions in PNG will be rebuilt rather than building new ones. There will also be continuous support of the government and its partners.
We share a vision for the precinct to build Papua New Guinea's next generation of ethical and high-performing public sector leaders at all levels of government, and to be a centre for discussion and debate on issues of national importance.
The rebuilding of the A-wing building will see more courses given to public servants about effective, efficient and ethical roles to play in service delivery in the country. Vasina Tayama, National EMTV News.
Garalka-based funeral home company Glen Rowan opened its new funeral home at 14 Mile outside of Lae City this afternoon. The new multi-million kina funeral facility is aimed at providing people of Morobe with affordable and memorable funeral services for their loved ones and family members. The funeral home facility is the first of its kind in the industrial hub. MTV's Silva Sagawi has more on this report from Lae.
A funeral home facility may make one wonder why someone would like to start up a business that deals with dead bodies. But for the Glen Rowan Funeral Home, it has a different purpose. It is a special resting place for families and loved ones before they are being buried.
Funeral home is not a scary place. It's a lovely, beautiful place.
John Glenville is the director of the new Glen Rowan Funeral Home in Lae. The funeral home is all about giving the people of Morobe an opportunity to farewell their loved ones in a more special way.
All the relatives will miss him. Loved one blow, all must look sabe all same. Loved one blow, we all lost him here. It's nicely prepared for them, so it could be pleasant. Now it must look nice. So you remember me Mary, it must look beautiful. You remember me man, it must look handsome. Then you present him to the family. That's what funeral home I'm making.
I now officially declare
Morobe Governor Kelly Naro, who officiated at the opening of the funeral home, congratulated the Glenville family for this initiative in opening up a funeral facility for the people of Lae. The multi-million kina facility will cater for up to 10 bodies at a time, providing a one-stop shop for requirements for funeral services.
It's something to do with your feeling. It's something to do with your emotions. So you got to be very honest with what you do. You got to be transparent.
A new coffin manufacturing workshop will be built in the next 6 months to complement the funeral home. Around 50 dedicated staff will be employed to provide services like washing and preparing bodies for funerals and burials. Sylvester Gawi, National EMTV News, Lae.
Morobe Governor Kelly Naru said the Morobe provincial government will fund the completion of the Lutheran University after dialogue with another committee representing the Evangelical Lutheran Council Church. It comes after the Christian University's completion was delayed due to funding constraints and conflicts between two committees established from acts passed in Parliament. Naru says an open dialogue with the Evangelical Lutheran Church Council has to happen to free up the bottleneck attitude stopping the university's completion.
Governor Naru has called for talks with a committee formed after the Lutheran University Act 2012 was passed in Parliament. He said it must happen before the Morobe provincial government can continue funding the development of the university.
Allow the project to, or at least part of what is already set up now, to be completed so we can commence.
The 2012 Act Committee, led by the director of the Papua New Guinea Medical Research Institute, Dr. Peter Siba, has immense backing from the Evangelical Lutheran Church Council.
Last November, National Parliament repealed the 2012 Lutheran University Act, which was the foundation for the Church Council approved plans to develop a university. This unfortunate action caused great disappointment in that council.
ELC Council Chairman Koogi Zongorang, during the council meeting last week, explained that the council has opted to support the Lutheran University Act 2012 because the previous 2006 Act doesn't include the interest of the church.
Number three, the Lutherans in Papua New Guinea deserve to have a university that reflects transparent ELC-PNG ownership and governance.
The ELC Council has also questioned the spending of 20 million kina given by the national government to the 2006 Act Committee and 2 million kina from the Morobe provincial government.
Although there was a provincial government and giving 2 million, the national government people hiring and giving 22 million, and there's a church. And there's a church council now is up, and one day all must investigate not being out this.
Late yesterday afternoon, Project Director Dr. Brent Kilbach showed Governor Naru the full spending of the committee created by the 2006 Act. Dr. Kilbach also took Naru on a tour of the facilities already being built by the committee. The 2006 committee included members like now Foreign Affairs Minister Rimbing Pato and Chief Secretary Sir Manasupe Zurino. Governor Naru says the provincial government will fund the completion of the Lutheran University, but there has to be one committee working to complete the project. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Lae.
4 remote villages in Upper Waria in Bulalo, Morobe Province now have access to telecommunication and television services after 9 decades of first government contact. Bulalo MP Sam Basil travelled into these villages earlier this week and opened telecom VSATs and MTV signals and also conducted free eye treatments for the villages. A new road connecting Waria and Garaina to Wau is also under construction to ease transport difficulties in the district. MTV's Sivastagawa has this special report from Lae.
For more than 50 years, the people of Upper Waria in Bulalo, Morobe Province have been having difficulties with delivery of basic services. The rugged and mountainous terrains have made it difficult for roads to be built, and transportation of government supplies has been an ongoing problem for them. Like any other remote areas in Papua New Guinea, education and health services were left to deteriorate as public servants move into urban areas in search for better services. Carrie Naro from Isipik Province is a senior teacher at the Moonson Primary School in Sim, Upper Waria. The setting up of the visit telecommunication facility at the village has brought relief for a school, especially the teachers. With the telephone services and MTV signal, the small school will now be able to enhance learning of its students through the EMTV program.
So me, I'm a master member of the plan, inside the Bulalo district, where Emika wanted this initiative long in setting this or visit long. One school where I'm bringing service to the Mipla Moinsim Primary School. Na mi hama master lem.
SIM has got a new installation of visit and MTV, and very soon when the trade store starts to kick off, they will access FTOS machines. So the teachers out there can access their pay and food from the shop. by using EFTO's card.
Other villages that have also received the services were Kataipa, Kasuma and Biharu. Kataipa is situated at the border of Morobe and Central provinces.
Problem lumi pla mosem road M1 platasol. Road na mosem lo transporting go out road na airstrip tasol mi plaigat. Problem lo dislasai.
For the Kataipa community, the introduction of the telecommunication services and TV services are a breakthrough in service delivery by the government. They also received free eye treatments, and the schools were given support to build more classrooms.
We were at Kataipa. In Kataipa, we were looking at the next range, which is Kunemaipa, that's in Goilala. And the Kataipa people speak Kunemaipa, and the Kataipa people are from, originally, they were from Goilala.
Work have also started on a new road that will connect Wau to Waria and into Garaina Station. New airstrips will be built to complement the road in bringing more services for the people of Upper Waria.
Also this year we will be completing by 2017 the link from Sim to Bapi to link the Waria Valley. So this is under plan and this is the rollout that we are standing on.
The Bulolo district is still waiting for the 3 million kina promised by the Morobe provincial government for the Wau to Garaina road construction. Sylvester Gawi, National EMTV News, Leh.
The redevelopment of Madang Town Market, also housing project for Labour Department and Women's Expo to open tomorrow. I'll bring you all those stories and more after the break. Stay tuned. Good to have you back with National EMTV News. The redevelopment of the Madang Town Market and the new fish market is expected to boost the informal sector in the province. Local traders are being encouraged to utilize the opportunity to contribute to their income and local economy. Madang Governor Jim Kass was pleased with the assistance from all stakeholders involved in the redevelopment of the province.
The groundbreaking signals a shift in the informal sector in Madang.
When I say 1, 2, 3.
Although there are no financial records of revenues generated from the informal sector, Madang Governor Jim Kass says it contributes substantially to the growth of the local economy.
This market is the start of the huge informal sector finance generating activity that the government of Japan and the people of Japan has contributed to the economy of Madang.
JICA has invested 26 million kina into the project under its grant aid facility. It is the second project after the redevelopment of the Wewak Town Market.
Yes, because this is to be implemented under the grant aid facility of JICA. So it is basically fully financed by our side. However, some of the conditions like land acquisition, leveling of the land, and some others must be taken care of by the PNG side. And especially when it comes to the operation and maintenance, it is solely the responsibility of the PNG side.
Japan Ambassador to Papua New Guinea, Morio Matsumoto, reminded the people of Madang of the importance of having a trade in place that facilitates economic growth.
Market is the key or common place for local people as you to meet and sell, also purchase your daily products, including fresh fish.
Despite the delay in construction, JICA is confident the contractor will cut back on the delay and deliver the finished projects by the end of this year. Once completed, the market and fish market will cater for the 500,000 people of Madang. In total, the main market and the fish market are estimated to cater for over 1,000 traders. This number is expected to rise with traders coming from other regions. Governor Kass highlighted there are plans for another 2 markets to cater for this increase. Mickey Cavera, National EMTV News.
National government agencies have taken keen interest in establishing their offices in the Northern Province. The Labour Department followed through with its Memorandum of Understanding for its capacity building program in the province. An office complex and staff housing will be built under this agreement.
The signing sealed in Port Moresby allows Department of Labour to move forward with its housing project in Popondetta. This is part of Labour's nationwide capacity building program. Deputy Administrator for Oro John Pai says the provincial administration stands ready to assist government agencies interested in the province. There are still not many developments in the province, but the interest shown by national agencies prove that the province is poised for change.
With a growing population and an increasing force of labor, particularly people being employed in fixed income earning opportunities, it's very crucial that we have this office to be built to address labor issues, industrial matters, if it is even raised among the workforce.
Acting Secretary for Labour George Vaso is keen to see the project implemented. He says Oro was the first province chosen by the department to pilot the housing project last year.
And so we are very happy to work alongside the provincial government in areas of labour administration, industrial relations, workers' compensation, which has been lacking for quite some time.
With the capacity building program targeted to improve staff welfare, Vaso challenged his staff to reciprocate the treatment to employees seeking their service. Mickey Cavera, National, EMTV News.
Despite the winding down of construction for the PNG LNG project, there is an increased demand for industrial equipment, including cleaning agents. This was revealed by KK Kingston Marketing Manager Christopher Elphick during the company's trade expo this morning. He says with the industrial boom in Papua New Guinea, manufacturers of industrial equipment like KK Kingston are on top of the market.
It was a slow start in the morning as the trade fair at the Holiday Inn brought together suppliers and manufacturers of major industrial products supplied and retailed through KK Kingston. Products range from high-powered tools through to heavy-duty machinery, cleaning agents, chemicals, industrial wear and patrol equipment for remote settings in Papua New Guinea. Organizers of the trade fair, KK Kingston, also exhibited their products from 3 of their in-house brands, which included tougher tanks, which were displayed outside Holiday Inn. KK Kingston Marketing Manager Christopher Elphick said with the industrial boom, the trade fair was an avenue to market their products and also an avenue for the public to get technical advice from industrial experts from the different exhibitors.
To bring our suppliers in who hold a wealth of knowledge in the product areas and products that they supply, and be able to impart that knowledge to our customers as well as our staff, so that our sales staff were best equipped when they go out into the market to provide our customers with product knowledge and the right solutions for their businesses.
He says even though the construction phase has ended for the PNG LNG project, the demand for industrial equipment and products is sure to pick up from the current construction works in NCD and Lae.
I hope to see that, let's say, fall in demand pick up with demand from other industry sectors such as construction and civil works, which we can see being done around the city.
About 8 international exhibitors showcased their products with hopes to engage the wider PNG market in the industrial sector. Bridget Komatap, National, EMTV News.
A first-of-its-kind Women's Expo will be open tomorrow in Port Moresby. Hundreds of women with their businesses and services will be on display as a platform for marketing their products. Preparations are in their final stages and organisers are ready for the opening ceremony tomorrow. EMTV's Delibago reports.
EMTV was at the festival grounds this afternoon, where volunteering youth were seen working on the stalls for the 5 days expo, which begins tomorrow. Women from all walks of life, from SME business owners to those in the informal sector, will be in one place to showcase their businesses, products and services.
It's really encouraging to see the all women coming together. We've got professional women down to the grassroots women all coming together. So this is a first of its kind that we have a platform that we have built for all women and girls of Papua New Guinea. So we're going to see, and we're going to have one strong voice for women in business.
Executive Director of the YWCA, Diane Kambane, said the expo was an opportunity for women to support each other.
And I just want to encourage every young woman out there to come and support this exhibition. I think it's great that, and I'd like to thank Ms. Janet Sape for organizing this, because I think in PNG we all need to form a coalition and support each other so that we can progress. So please come and support this event tomorrow. Thank you.
The days leading up to the Women's Expo has seen several donations by individuals and organizations in cash and in kind. Today, Twinkie Winkie International School supported in cash.
Us presenting this donation to the Women in Business group just reflects that we believe in a stable society. Everybody has been created, designed, and has a purpose of existence on this planet. Therefore, we decided to do our donation to see this expo, drawing more women and even changing the society at large.
The public is encouraged to attend and support these women businesses. Gate fee will be 2 kina for adults and 1 kina for children. NCD Governor Poes Pakop is expected to attend, together with Eastern Highlands Governor Julie Soso and Lay MP Lujaya Koza. Delhi Bagu, National EMTV News.
And now we take a look at the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3765 US in the interbank market, and at Bank South Pacific, the kina was fetching $0.369 US, 0.4729 Australian dollars, 0.3371 euro, and 44.07 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold and coffee closed the day higher, cocoa closed lower, and copper closed the day unchanged. Palm oil and crude oil closed higher, while copper closed the day lower. And finally, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 227 points lower, the ASX closed at 108 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 104 points higher. You're watching National EMTV News tonight. Among stories after the break, 17 tourists killed in Tunisia, the northernmost country in Africa. Stay tuned for that. Thanks for your company and welcome back to the news. A man and a woman were apprehended by Leh police this morning for buying stolen bicycles. They were brought into the Leh Central Police Station by the task force team at 10 a.m. today. Both offenders were charged for buying stolen goods.
Following tip-off from the public, Leh's task force senior constable Michael Kenken and his team picked up the couple from Tale compound at Leh's Kamkumu area. The team brought back 3 bicycles and the buyers to the station and handed them over to the Criminal Investigation Division for interrogation. 2 of the stolen bicycles are still missing.
So, without the suspect are more Salim yet.
According to police, the bicycles were stolen from an SVS employee's house here at Wagtail Street along Leh's Kaswari Road. The incident is believed to have occurred during the early hours of Tuesday morning and involved 10 suspects.
Look around, but we couldn't succeed. So now morning, we some information.
No suspects were apprehended as yet, but Senior Constable Michael says he and his team are working on apprehending the suspects involved. Colin Barilai, National EMTV News, Leh.
The main gate into Fincorp building that houses the Education Department's headquarters was locked by angry contractors yesterday. The contractors have expressed their frustrations after learning that their claims for work carried out in NCD schools and the National Library and Archives were thrown out by the National Executive Council.
The National Executive Council has made its final decision based on audit reports that the contractors engaged to carry out work in schools in NCD were illegal. The report claimed some works carried out were incomplete and proper procurement process were not followed. But yesterday, angry contractors were frustrated over the decision and locked the main gate leading into Fincorp building that houses the Education Department headquarters. The gates to the National Library and Archives were also chained. The contractor says they are legally engaged by Education Department and the total cost of the demand stands at 230 million kina and not 600 million kina as claimed by the audited report.
NEC wogen decision and tablong claim blom mibla na to kosem illegal. So mibla contractors by NCDC mibla to kosem illegal. No illegal because we were invited by the Department of Education. All invited mibla come in chalo department so mibla come mibla wogen work.
About 8 years ago, this department all been engaging mibla. And we have our records in order. Our companies are registered. Legal documents, official engagement letters, all these things were given. Based on that, mibla executive work with mibla.
Mibla contractors like talking NEC or saying, please, this corruption and misstatement along education department, education yet emi survey, usat emi illegal, usat emi genuine contractors.
Okay, hadata kisimi, meri pikini blomi karimi go, okay the money go bengem after a meal alone, company am dirisida, live and bagara borsan. Biabable conductors, one can.
They want the NEC to revisit the decision and identify the legal contractors and pay them accordingly. Meanwhile, they plan to maintain their demands peacefully and will not leave the main gate into the FinCorp house. Quinten Alomp, National EMTV News.
Turning overseas now, 17 tourists of various nationalists have been killed in a shooting attack in Tunisia. They came under fire from gunmen wearing military uniforms.
This is the scene outside of the museum around 12 hours after the attack took place. People we've been speaking to saying that they were angry, saddened by what took place. Coming over here, our cab driver was saying that this was a deliberate attempt to decimate this country's economy by targeting its tourism industry. The museum was a carefully chosen target, a place often visited by foreigners but lightly guarded, and right next door to the Parliament building. The gunmen opened fire on the visitors in the late morning. They're victims from across Europe, Poland, France, Italy, Spain, to name a few, and even some from South America. In the chaos, some fled from the building while others hid. One French woman told of her ordeal.
We were calmly visiting the museum. At first, we thought a statue had fallen over, but then we heard screams. Then eventually realized it was gunfire exploding. We didn't know what we were going to do, so we hid.
In the neighboring Parliament building, legislators were told to take cover.
Suddenly, we heard a firefight, and just next to the building. It was the noise was very strong, and the administration came to tell us to lay down.
Tunisian Prime Minister Habib Assid said violence would not be allowed to destroy democracy. But such a brazen attack in the capital confirms the fears of many in Tunisia that it cannot escape the tide of Islamic extremism that now afflicts much of the Arab world. It is estimated that more Tunisians than any other nationality have gone to fight with ISIS and other jihadist groups. Some are now thought to have returned home or to neighboring Libya, where ISIS supporters have a growing presence. Tunisian officials are desperately worried that jihadist violence will spill across the country's long border with Libya. Perhaps it already has. Extremists only make up a small portion of the Tunisian population. This country recently voted in a secular, moderate government. But Wednesday's brazen attack shows that jihadis can reach the very heart of this nation that up until now was considered to be the only success story of the Arab Spring.
And National EMTV News continues with True Guy Sports. That's coming up after these messages. Stay with us. Thanks for your company and welcome back to the news. A man and a woman were apprehended by Lae police this morning for buying stolen bicycles. They were brought into the Lae Central Police Station by the task force team at 10 a.m. today. Both offenders were charged for buying stolen goods.
Following tip-off from the public, Lae's task force senior constable Michael Kenken and his team picked up the couple from Tale compound at Lae's Kamkumu area. The team brought back 3 bicycles and the buyers to the station and handed them over to the Criminal Investigation Division for interrogation. 2 of the stolen bicycles are still missing.
without the suspect are more salim pinisas there yet.
According to police, the bicycles were stolen from an SVS employee's house here at Wagtail Street along Lace Kaswari Road. The incident is believed to have occurred during the early hours of Tuesday morning and involved 10 suspects.
People look around, but we couldn't succeed. So now morning, some information.
No suspects were apprehended as yet, but Senior Constable Michael says he and his team are working on apprehending the suspects involved. Colin Barilai, National EMTV News, Leh.
The main gate into FinCorp building that houses the Education Department's headquarters was locked by angry contractors yesterday. The contractors have expressed their frustrations after learning that their claims for work carried out in NCD schools and the National Library and Archives were thrown out by the National Executive Council.
The National Executive Council has made its final decision based on audit reports that the contractors engaged to carry out work in schools in NCD were illegal. The report claimed some works carried out were incomplete and proper procurement process were not followed. But yesterday, angry contractors were frustrated over the decision and locked the main gate leading into FinCorp building that houses the Education Department headquarters. The gates to the National Library and Archives were also chained. The contractor says they are legally engaged by Education Department and the total cost of the demand stands at 230 million kina and not 600 million kina as claimed by the audited report.
NEC organization ang tablong claim blo mibla na to kosem illegal. So mibla contractors bla NCDC mibla to kosem illegal. No illegal because we were invited by the Department of Education. All invited mibla come in chalo department, so mibla come and work and work.
About 8 years ago, this department all been engaged mibla. And we have our records in order. Our companies are registered. Legal documents, official engagement letters, all these things were given. Based on that, mibla executive work mibla.
Mibla contractors like talking NEC or saying, please, this corruption and misstatement along Education Department. Education yet emi survey. Usat emi illegal, usat emi genuine contractors.
Okay, hadata kisimi, meri pikinin blomi karimi go. Okay, the money go bengem. After a meal alone, company am dirisida, live and bagara borsan. Behavable conductors, one can.
They want the NEC to revisit the decision and identify the legal contractors and pay them accordingly. Meanwhile, they plan to maintain their demands peacefully and will not leave the main gate into the FinCorp house. Quinten Alomp, National EMTV News.
Turning overseas now, 17 tourists of various nationalities have been killed in a shooting attack in Tunisia. They came under fire from gunmen wearing military uniforms.
This is the scene outside of the museum around 12 hours after the attack took place. People we've been speaking to saying that they were angry, saddened by what took place. Coming over here, our cab driver was saying that this was a deliberate attempt to decimate this country's economy by targeting its tourism industry. The museum was a carefully chosen target, a place often visited by foreigners but lightly guarded, and right next door to the Parliament building. The gunmen opened fire on the visitors in the late morning. They're victims from across Europe, Poland, France, Italy, Spain, to name a few, and even some from South America. In the chaos, some fled from the building while others hid. One French woman told of her ordeal.
We were calmly visiting the museum. At first, we thought a statue had fallen over, but then we heard screams. Then eventually realized it was gunfire exploding. We didn't know what we were going to do, so we hid.
In the neighboring Parliament building, legislators were told to take cover.
And suddenly, we heard a firefight, and just next to the building. It was the noise was very strong, and the administration came to tell us to lay down.
Tunisian Prime Minister Habib Assid said violence would not be allowed to destroy democracy. But such a brazen attack in the capital confirms the fears of many in Tunisia that it cannot escape the tide of Islamic extremism that now afflicts much of the Arab world. It is estimated that more Tunisians than any other nationality have gone to fight with ISIS and other jihadist groups. Some are now thought to have returned home or to neighboring Libya, where ISIS supporters have a growing presence. Tunisian officials are desperately worried that jihadist violence will spill across the country's long border with Libya. Perhaps it already has. Extremists only make up a small portion of the Tunisian population. This country recently voted in a secular, moderate government. But Wednesday's brazen attack shows that jihadis can reach the very heart of this nation that up until now was considered to be the only success story of the Arab Spring.
And National EMTV News continues with True Kai Sports. That's coming up after these messages. Stay with us.
True Kai Sports.
Welcome to True Kai Sports. The Agmar Gurriers have announced their 28-man squad and the leadership of Stephen Nightingale as head coach for this year's Digicel Cup. The current squad consists of a blend of young and senior experienced players. Nightingale is backing the boys to do well in this year's round of competition and expects them to appear in another grand final.
The team has high hopes in maintaining their dominance in the competition in this year's season. With the leadership of Stephen Nightingale as coach, the boys are looking sharp for a good start. The extended squad of 34 was trimmed down to the final 28 after 2 weeks of trials. Tao Fitzgerald and Albert Patak, named as captain, are both familiar faces and influential players which have again been included in the squad. Last year, the team faced a couple of challenges beyond their control. They lost 5 of their best players to the SB Hunters for the Intrust Super Cup and Michael Marm as head coach, forcing them to reshuffle their coaching structures. This time around, the team is confident they have implemented better management structures and are hoping for a smoother season ahead. Lorraine Genia, National EMTV Sports.
The Puma Energy Pukpuk Sevens team have settled into their specific training camp over in Newcastle, Australia. Team manager Matthew Natush confirmed that the boys have had a smooth transition and their preparation towards the Hong Kong Sevens are looking sharp. The team is placed in a pool with Tunisia, Russia and Korea and will depart for Hong Kong on Sunday. The Port Moresby Industry Touch Association will start its 2015 pre-season this weekend at the Coronation Primary School Oval. All teams have been in preparation and warming up for this weekend's competition.
The annual competition comprises of 3 divisions: the Mixed Open Division, the Women's Division and the Men's Open Division, with 24 teams competing. Each game will be 12 minutes each way without half-time break. It will be a tough encounter for players, however interest is building. Even though the competition is anticipated to be a tough encounter, interest is building among players and supporters. The touch competition has been a great avenue for a lot of young and gifted players to showcase their talent. Also, with the support and involvement of corporate houses, the competition is gaining height each year. The games this weekend will start off with the Mixed Open Division at 11 a.m, followed by Women's Division at 1 p.m, and finally the Open Men's Division at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
And True Kai Sports continues after the break. Stay tuned.
True Kai Sports.
Good to have you back with True Kai Sports. The Strong in People, Strong in Nation program, funded by AusAid, will conduct a Level 0 basic coaching course in the New Ireland province at the Sacred Heart Primary School. A super skills clinic will also be organised at the Kaveng Town Oval. NTV's Elijah Levet has more with this report.
Up to 9 schools have shown interest and will come as far as the Mongop community, who will be sending teachers to attend the course. Schools attending are Polyamba Primary, Lemekot Primary, Mongop Secondary, Yaraka Primary, Mangai Primary, Mayom Primary, Eliwanera Primary, Utu Secondary and Sacred Heart Primary, which will also include Namatanai Secondary School. The course will outline the procedures in running a new kick program and their approach in conducting themselves when they get involved in the AFL PNG Kaveng School competition. Many of the teachers will be new to the game, and this course would be a great start for them to understand the sport of AFL. Elijah Lavet, National EMTV Sports.
The Port Moresby AFL school competition will commence on Saturday, 28th of March at the Mara Barracks Oval. This will also be the closing date for schools in Port Moresby to affiliate to the competition. Once again, Elijah Levet has more.
The competition will cater for boys in the under-12, under-13 and under-15 division, which also includes the under-15 girls. Secondary school students will take part in the under-17 boys and girls division, which commences on Friday the 24th of March. The secondary school competition will be held on Fridays due to the increase of primary schools in the competition. St. Joseph's Catholic International, Port Moresby International School and other IEA schools have shown interest in taking part in the under-15 and 17 boys division and to also get involved in the New Kick program. Schools who have not registered are to call the AFL PNG office before the 28th of March. Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
Overseas to cricket, while Australian cricket's rivalry with England is historical and with New Zealand is geographical, with Pakistan it's nearly pathological. Pakistan's cricket coach stopped short of describing it as bitter, preferring the word fierce. Australia will take on Pakistan in Friday's World Cup qualifier.
Captain Michael Clark thinks the Adelaide Oval pitch will be quicker than it has been in the past, but it will be Australia's first World Cup game on the ground, Pakistan's third at this tournament. The skipper says more movement in the batting lineup is also possible.
The rest is very flexible. We'll work out situation of the game, batting first, batting second, and assess, and I think that's one of our great strengths.
In the Asian Champions League, the Western Sydney Wanderers have shared the points in a 0-0 draw with FC Seoul, while Brisbane got off to a flying start against Suwon Blue Wings, boasting a 2-0 lead after 22 minutes. The South Korean side fought back to take the lead, but teenager Devante Kloot salvaged a point.
Kloot, wonderful strike, super goal, Devante Kloot. What a night he's having. That may well be the goal of the game, that one.
Bernard Tomic will take on Novak Djokovic in the quarterfinals at Indian Wells after beating Thanasi Kokkinakis in 3 sets, while the world #1 defeated John Isner. Roger Federer is also through to the final 8 with a comfortable straight sets win over American Jack Sock. The Newcastle Knights have secured the services of all 3 Matautia brothers for another 3 years. Sione became the youngest Australian Test representative last season. They'll all remain in Knights colours until the end of the 2018 season.
And that's all we have for True Kai Sports tonight. Stay tuned for the weather details after these short messages.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
Taking a quick look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in southern region, mostly fine in Port Moresby and Daru. In Momase and Lake City to look forward to a shower or two. Meanwhile, all centres mostly fine. In the New Guinea Islands, all centres fine weather. And in the Highlands region, all centres brief showers, then morning fog. Now recapping our main headlines for tonight before we go. Motuan villagers raise concerns on rising sea level and a river changing its course. Also, Administrative College gets a revamp after years of neglect and a new funeral home for lay residents. And that's how we conclude the bulletin this Thursday, the 19th of March, 2015. From the news team, I'm Tokana Hasavi. Thanks for your company. You take care and stay safe. Good night.